This is Josiah Plays Tyranny. Welcome to the launch day of Tyranny, brand new isometric RPG by Obsidian, creators of Pillars of Eternity and many other fine games, including Alpha Protocol, my second favorite game of all time. This game is built on the Pillars of Eternity engine, but has had some significant changes in terms of mechanics. The setting is also vastly different. This is a game in which evil has won. And, looks pretty exciting. I have been super hyped for this game. I have been following all of the streams and videos of it, everything they've announced, read the dev diaries, the short stories, all of it. So I'm super hyped for it. And even though this is, of course, a blind playthrough since I've never played the game before because it just launched, I have a fair amount of knowledge about the early part of the game because of all the videos I've watched and stuff, so I have kind of an idea of what I'm doing at least. So let's jump into this. I'll let you know now if you're watching this, if you're watching my stream, or if you're watching this later on YouTube, the way I intend to play through this is in a very slow, methodical way. I'm going to explore every nook and cranny. I'm going to read all the text. I mean read all the text, item descriptions, descriptions of things in the environment, all of the dialogue. I will be attempting in my own mediocre way to voice act all the characters throughout the dialogue. That's the way this is going to go. So this playthrough is going to take quite a bit longer than a typical playthrough would. So that's just a warning for you if you're watching this. That's how it's going to go. Yeah, it does remind me of The Black Company by Glenn Cook. I can see how that was definitely one of the influences. Anonymous. I liked those books. I didn't read all of them, but I read the first few. Okay, so let's go new game here. And, I'm excited. It's Tyranny time. Finally. I am doing a 24-hour stream of this. So here we go with hour 1. Difficulty settings. I'm not going to play anything crazy. I'm just going to play on normal. Because I've watched some videos and it looks like people were kind of getting their asses kicked in this game just on normal. So I don't really want to try anything super hard for this first time anyway. Normal difficulty will be just fine. If it feels too easy, I can always bump it up. I like the art style.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kairos the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kairos' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and two of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus.
I like the Scarlet Chorus.
The voices of Nerat, spy master and Archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kairos' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching
Those are
over
the two major factions.
is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kairos' minions. Tunon brings Kairos' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kairos' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
How could we have known? Yeah, it's casual time, Anonymous. Hella casual. Well, I'm not playing on easy. Could be more casual. Alright, we can make a couple of varieties of character here. I'm gonna make a female character. We can choose, basically looks like mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph. More or less. We'll go with the more ectomorphic. We'll be tall. And there's some skin tones up in here. Go dark, but not as dark as possible. In the Northern Empire, where you were born, women enjoy equal protections under the laws of Overlord Kairos. In the southern lands of the Tiers, women may crew a ship, but only men may own or captain a vessel. While these customs give the oceans to the men, the lands are trusted to the women. Men may rent and lease, but only women may own land and bequeath it to their daughters and sisters. While following a parent's profession is standard, many women choose to pledge service to one of the Overlord's powerful archons. Those without a viable trade or lands to call their own are often drafted into the armies of the archons, where it is assumed they will rise to glory or vanish in obscurity in accordance to their worth. So that's pretty interesting. In the Tiers, women are the only ones that can own property, but men are the only ones who can own ships. Pretty strange division of roles there, but I guess if it works for them. Moving forward, and hopefully the game will not freeze up here for a very long time. And when I said hopefully, I meant it's definitely going to freeze up here for a really long time. When I was testing out the sound and everything a few minutes ago, right before I started the stream, I was running into this problem. It was locking up here and crashing, but I found that if I just do nothing and wait long enough, eventually it will actually move on to the next part. So we've got a nice lengthy wait here, which is fun. Loading screens of eternity. Character creation of eternity. You know, this didn't happen to any of the people that did the pre-release videos, or the preview. The people that had the preview build, this didn't happen to any of them. Yet I know it's happening to other people right now because I saw forum posts about it. This is happening to other people. So they must have messed something up in the actual release build. Nobody knows if Kairos is a man or a woman. I've heard them use both pronouns, and they've been really dodgy about it. Basically, they're not saying. In-game, they say Kairos is mother and father. It'd be hilarious if the Overlord's Dark Citadel is leased. Well, that's only in the Tiers, which is the southern land where this game takes place, that are being conquered. In the north, it says men and women have equal rights, and the Northern Empire is where Kairos actually is. So, I don't think Kairos would have to lease, regardless. But no, the protagonist is not Kairos. Protagonist is a minion, a servitor of Kairos. Through Tunon. You see how long this takes? It's sort of ridiculous. Sort of freaking ridiculous. If I click right now, what'll happen is... Oh, there we go! There we go! I didn't click. I was about to, and I was going to get the little spinny. Alright, so let's take a look at some portraits, and some faces, and some hairs, and some other things. Alright, let's look at portraits first, before we start trying to... I'm going to go for more of a light-armored mage type. Oh no, I clicked on a portrait and now nothing's happening. These wait times for the character creation are a little bit ridiculous. A little bit ridiculous. A lot ridiculous, actually. Like... Every time, even after I click back to one that I've already been on before, it's going to take fucking 20 seconds to load the portrait. Is that really what's happening right now in this game? Is that really what's happening? Apparently the answer is yes. That's really what's happening. That one's kind of magey looking. Why a woman? Because there are not enough female protagonists in games. I've literally, let's say I've played 500 games in my life. 400 and probably 40 of those 500 games I played a man. At least 440 out of 500. Now 500 is just a number I'm making up. I have no idea how many actual games I've played. Like, if you want to play a male character, you only have to play 98% of all games that have ever been made. So that's not really a novel experience. I guess we'll just, you know what, I'm afraid to click on any of these because I don't want it to freeze up for 18 years. Although I don't really like this portrait very much. Let's try this one. Even though she's got a bow, I'm not really planning to use a bow, but that's okay. Why does it matter? It matters. Got faces. All the faces look pretty similar, and you're not really going to be able to see the face very well throughout most of the time in the actual game. Go with a dark reddish color here. What kind of hairs we got? We got no hairs. We got that strange hairstyle. Hers! We got all the hairs. These hairstyles are a little bit weird. A little bit weird. That one's kind of cool, I guess. Or that one. Alright, voices, let's see.
So hard. Quiet down.
That's really quiet.
Interesting. Flawless. You learn something every day. This will be fun. That wasn't so hard.
Obsidian is pretty PC nowadays. I don't know about PC exactly. I think there's a difference between being progressive and PC. Now I can't actually tell you which of those Obsidian is, if they're any of those things. I don't really know what Obsidian's politics are, so to speak, but
Moving cautiously. My wounds are slowing me down.
my wounds are slowing me down.
See that? Trouble is afoot. Ha! Good one.
Go with female noble. There's lots of tattoos available, but I don't know. Again, I think most of your clothes and stuff are going to cover these up, but still, you got to pick tattoos because you can have snakes on your legs or on one leg. Dude, leg snake. It's got to be the leg snake, I think. Got to be leg snake. How do I not? Although arm writing is pretty cool. I think we're going leg snake. Those stripes are pretty cool. But it's not going to be green though. Cut the games. It's going to be red and black. That's how you do a leg snake right there. What if I made it red and black like this? No. Alright, we're done here. That probably won't show up. Well, it depends on what kind of clothes I'm wearing. You know, it might show up, depending on the armor or whatever. Alright, I think we're good to go here. Let's just move on. Alright, I'm giving it time to load all these other things, because earlier when I did this, as I was running through testing, there was another point at which it froze up for a long time. So maybe I've given it sufficient time that it won't freeze up now. So you can choose one of various histories here. I've already read all of these during the videos and stuff. I'm not going to read them all right now. I'll probably just read the one that I pick. I'm not 100% sure which one I want just yet. It's either Diplomat, Noble Scion, or Lawbreaker, probably. But I'm leaning towards Diplomat the most. I kind of want to go forward and see what skill bonuses I'm going to get from each one. It says, today you are a Fatebinder, agent of the Archon of Justice. You are by no means free, but as a warrior scholar deputized with discretionary powers to interpret and execute the laws of the Overlord Kairos, you are freer than most. Oh, we've got links inside the... we've got text to read inside the text to read. Kairos is a name out of legend. For centuries, the Overlord has consolidated power, sending vast armies to swallow entire realms. The most powerful mystic the world has ever seen, Kairos can issue edicts, magical proclamations that level cities, spread pox, sunder the lands, or change the course of seasons. The Archons, the masters of magic throughout the known world, bow to Kairos, and the Overlord readily destroys any Archons unwilling to kneel. These sorceresses and madmen lead the Overlord's armies in near endless conquest. As the realms of the known world fall to the Overlord, these captured territories are divvied up amongst the Archons to manage. Able to deliver suffering and woe to every corner of Tyranny without leaving the capital, few have seen the Overlord in person. Though Kairos' name is the single most recognized name in the world, only the Archons can say what the Overlord looks like. The Overlord is a big mystery. So, you're not free, but you're freer than most. Agent of the Archon of Justice. Alright, so warrior scholar deputized with discretionary powers. You're kind of like Judge Dredd-ish. One does not apply to be a Fatebinder. One is called by Tunon, the Archon of Justice, and to decline is death. So you kind of have to take this job. Millions of men and women live in the dozens of realms ruled by the Overlord. How did you stand out from amongst this teeming mass of desperation and insignificance and gain the Archon's notice? So, Tunon the Archon of Justice. Every time I hear his name, I think of that song Tunok Tunok Tune by Dollar Mendy. Tunok Tune, Tunok Tune, Tunok Tune, da 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 da. You know that one? I just always think of that song when I hear the name Tunon. I don't know. Something wrong with me. Tunon the Adjudicator is the Archon of Justice, ruler of the conquered realms, and arbiter of disputes. Oldest of the Archons, sent to conquer the Tears, Tunon speaks with Kairos' authorities. His true appearance remains hidden behind an iron mask, the face of judgment. Tunon is an impartial, sober creature, wholly obsessed with justice and order. Though assumed to be a powerful combatant, Tunon rarely strays from his throne room, entrusting his court of Fatebinders to act as his eyes and ears, as well as judges, juries, and executioners. Alright, so Tunon's kind of a big deal, and we work for Tunon. What's up, Noxmoo? How you doing? Good to see ya. Good to see you, Nox. You didn't miss much. I'm still making my character. Let's go, Diplomat. Though they would never tell you why. Kairos, I assume this says the same thing. Yeah. Though they would never tell you why, Kairos bestowed great wealth upon your family for some unmentioned service, and your parents used this wealth to have you raised far from home. Your childhood was a nomadic tour of Tyranny with hired tutors and fleeting friendships. Where others had stability and routine, you had a worldly and varied education. A careless word in a far-flung city landed you in legal trouble, and you were taken before Tunon the Adjudicator and made to stand trial. Not only did you plead your innocence, but you turned the accusations around on the accuser for wasting the court's time, and the Archon of Justice concurred. Amused by your wit, wisdom, and adaptability, Tunon claimed you as his newest enforcer. We heard you like to read text, so we put text in your text so you can read while you read. Yeah, exactly. So my plan is, for this first playthrough, I want to go kind of a neutral path. Not really going to side with either of the major factions. I'm actually going to try to play more of a good character. Not completely good, because you're basically evil no matter what in this, but I'm going to be like the lesser of evils. I think I'm going to play a character who is very manipulative and sort of charming and you know, tries to talk her way through things, but not entirely moral. I mean, you know, willing to lie, willing to deceive, manipulate, maybe willing to use others to do her dirty work for her, that sort of thing. But maybe with some compassion. You know, I think I want to play a character who's unlike myself, in that I think she has a very high respect for human life, and values and has a primacy of human life versus human liberty and quality of life like myself. So she would maybe not see anything wrong with, like, people being enslaved or conscripted or forced into the army, but would rather see that than have them killed, whereas I'm the opposite. I think enslavement is worse than anything else, and don't really particularly have a huge respect for human life per se, which makes me sound really bad, but I don't care. So that's the kind of character I'm going for, is a really talky, intelligent, sort of lore-based, social sort of character. And siding with any cows you might find. Yes, of course, Noxmoo. All cows will certainly be spared. There will be no harm done to cows in this game. Alright, let's move on. You're trained in the following combat style. As one of Tunon's Fate Binders, you receive training in the arts of war, the intrigue of magic, and the inexhaustible depths of Kairos' law. Across the Northern Empire, the education of a Fate Binder is second to none. Those bearing the title are expected to read instructions and understand the economies of the realms in which they operate. Literacy and mathematics, skills rarely found on Tyranny, are essential skills in the execution of law. Subtler talents like speechcraft or tactics are honed with time and experience under Tunon's guidance. So I gotta choose my combat styles. I get to choose 2 of these. And I'm pretty sure I know which ones I want. I think I want Vigor spells and Atrophy spells. Go kind of a cleric style with buffs and debuffs, and then I'm going to try to make her more of a main healer as I get into the game, once I can find the Sigil of Life somewhere. I don't know where to find it, but that's the one that you need for healing. But you can go through different ones, you know, and you get to pick 2. There's unarmed, short bow, dual-wielding greatsword, javelin, sword, and shield. 4 different types of magic. Now, there's a lot more than 4 different types of magic in the game. The game has a spell building system where you create your own spells out of different sigils, and there's a ton of different kinds of base sigils. There's not just Shock, Frost, Vigor, and Atrophy. These are just the only ones you can start with. So in the actual game, I'll be able to learn all the other ones, to do all the other kinds of magic. So I'm going to start with Vigor as my main one. The School of Vigor is a utility branch of magic that focuses on granting bonuses to yourself and your allies, and I get the spell Titan's Touch. Fill the target with a surge of greatness. Get you a surge of greatness! Here you go. Granting them a bonus to might and vitality. You can actually start with the Fire Rune if you make a certain choice during the Conquest thing, which will come up in a little bit. But you have to make a certain specific choice to get the Fire Rune at the beginning. Granting the bonus to Might and Vitality. Alright, so we're going to take this. This gives me +8 to Control Vigor, 2 to Magic Staff, 3 to Dodge, and 5 to Lore. Then moving on, and it gives me this particular stick. Now I take Atrophy, and it gives me this stick with a different glow. Atrophy magic drains the skills and attributes of your enemies, weakening their attacks and making them easier to kill. Gather entropic energy and channel it into an enemy, sapping this target's might and So it's like the opposite. It's like the opposite of Titan's Touch. One is a buff for an ally, one is a debuff for the enemy. And now all of these two combined, I get all of this. I get all of this stuff to my starting skills, plus 10 to lore, which is nice. Now, as we move into the skill section, actually, I don't think we're to this. Oh no, it's another pause time. Here we go. As we wait for the... You have to earn your fire rune in this. You have to earn your fire magic. Although, like I said, you can get it during the Conquest mode. And it's not hard to find in the Conquest mode. It's a choice that every single person will have to make. And you choose between 3 different things. And which one of the 3 things you choose gives you a different ability. And one of them gives you fire magic. So anybody that really wants fire magic in the beginning can certainly have it. String cheese theory magic knocks? Nice. Freshly crafted dairy runes. So here we are waiting for the next part to load up because they broke the character creation somehow in the launch build of the game. How about we move forward now, game? That would be great. That would be a really cool thing. What if we were to, you know, not be sitting on this screen forever? I believe in you, game. I believe that you can move the fuck on. If you voted for Trump, turn to the next page. Otherwise, wait for 15 minutes and try again. Man, I'm not allowed to vote. But if I could, I certainly would not have voted for Trump. I would have voted for anybody but Trump. Extensive magic school of milk bending. Milk's a hell of an element. You can do a lot with milk. You know what'd be cool? Is if I could go to the next part of the character creation now. That'd be great. That would be great. This is ridiculous. Honestly. I think this is the last one of these that we're gonna have to deal with. Come on. Apparently it does a body good after all, yeah. You know how they always say, okay, here we go. Here we fucking go. Alright, character colors. Alright, obviously. Oh no! Is it gonna be a long ass delay every time I click on a color? What is this shit? Red. I want red. But which red do I want? Not that one. I want this one. I want red, and I want... What is it even changing? Ah, that's what it's changing. I guess we're going standard red and black. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to. I don't really like this gold on my shit, but can't really get rid of it apparently. The thing is though, it didn't do this in any of the pre-release builds that anyone had. So it's not like they just shittily coded this whole part of the game. They must have specifically broke something in whatever little update they did to make the final release build. Takes time to dye a whole suit, you know. Yeah, okay, then we got the banner. Oh, good. Let's wait 5 minutes between each banner that I click on. Fine, I guess I don't get to click on all the banners and see what they look like. I have to just look at them on here. Because honestly, I'm not waiting forever. So there's a lot of banners to choose from. It kind of looks like it has flames. That's pretty cool looking. That one's got a noose. Oh, the snake, though. The snake, though. I kind of got to go with the serpent banner. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I want a red serpent on a black field? Yes, I sure do. Hold on. Or do I want... I think we're going with this. It looks really fucking evil, doesn't it? I don't mean for it to be that evil. Maybe I want a red field with a black snake. Maybe that won't be so evil. That's still pretty fucking evil. No, the snake definitely has to be red. What about red and white? What if I went red and white? That's kind of cool. I think I'm going red and white. Black and white is cow colors, yeah. It's like the banners of evil and dishonor. Man, those banners in dishonor do look pretty evil. Alright, I'm going red and white here. Nazi colors. Well, I mean, lots of people have used these colors throughout history. They're not exclusive to Nazis. I would say that black, red, and white are probably the three most common colors ever used for anything. Alright, we're going with this. Enter name. Oh shit. What am I gonna name my character? You know what? I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna take it back to my first Pillars of Eternity playthrough. We're gonna roll it back, and we're gonna go with Seraphina again. Is that what we're gonna do? Yeah, why not? Yeah, blue's pretty popular flag color. That's true. Alright, stats time. So I'm going to min-max the shit out of this. First of all, wits. You're going to 18. That's the max. Vitality ain't neat. But resolve, Might, Quickness. I want a lot of this as well. I think I'm gonna go 18-18 and a bunch of 8s. So, this is what we're working with. Might determines the physical strength of a character. Increased might leads to more powerful attacks and stronger abilities, as well as increasing the endurance defense. My might sucks, because my character is physically not strong. She's lived the pampered life of a diplomat. She's never had to use her muscles for anything. Finesse describes a character's physical and mental precision. Finesse is used to determine accuracy of attacks and spells, as well as increasing war and armor's chances to reduce a hit type. I see her as being kind of lazy and having not really developed any physical skills throughout her life, so she's kind of clumsy as well as weak. Quickness. Quickness determines how often a character can use their abilities and spells in combat, reducing cooldown durations. That's going to let her use her spells much more frequency. So I kind of am perceiving it as like a quickness of mind. Like, she's physically very weak and lazy, but her mind is very, very quick because she's brilliant. So that allows her to use her spells very quickly. Vitality, again, this goes along with might and finesse, determines a character's physical health and their strength and personality. It also increases the will defense. I see as being rather weak-willed, as an evil person typically is, as an evil, manipulative, lazy kind of person typically would be. She's not really strong-willed. She doesn't have that heroic will. She's more. I mean, she's ultimately an evil character, just like everybody in this game. So she's soft, and of course her physical health is not anything to write. So that's low as well. Wits, though? Wits? All in on wits. High wits. Wits attribute describes a character's mental acuity, their ability to observe their environment and pick up on clues. Wits is used to increase spell strength as well as increase the magic defense. So obviously, her magic is very powerful. And Resolve. Resolve determines a character's ability to endure physical and mental challenges. Resolve is the primary attribute used to derive the endurance, will, and magic defenses. It also increases the durations of afflictions applied by the character. The affliction duration is a little bit of a problem. I'd rather have that be higher, honestly, but I don't care that much about it. Because when it says affliction, afflictions are explicitly bundled sets of status effects that can be applied to, suspended, or fully removed from a character. While some afflictions have explicit overriding or exclusivity rules, most afflictions can coexist with other afflictions. When a spell is cast on a target, it and its subordinate effects and afflictions are all bundled together in a procedurally bundled container created. This is really complex. Who wrote this? This is not user-friendly right here. I mean, I can understand what it's saying, but it just doesn't feel like it's written in a very approachable manner. If these procedurally bundled containers are applied while an identical version is in effect, the new version replaces the old. No matter how many effects are on the target, generally only the best bonuses and the worst penalties are applied. Some enemies can be immune to one or more afflictions. If so, these afflictions cannot be applied to those enemies. See, I don't know. It's not clear to me, even after reading this, whether it means just negative effects or also buffs. I think it probably means also buffs. I think affliction somehow is for all status effects, whether they be positive or negative. And it does say right here, best bonuses and worst penalties. And because it mentions bonuses here, it leads me to believe that maybe afflictions applies to both. Because it makes more sense for it to apply to both. Because otherwise there'd be nothing to improve your buff durations. So, I'm assuming it applies to both, which means affliction duration being lower is kind of lame. But I don't care. I'm sticking with it anyway, because I really care a lot more about wits and quickness. And again, role-playing wise resolve, I see her as having low resolve. She's you know, a lazy, pampered, manipulative, morally gray, weak-willed kind of person. You know, I pretty much see all villains mostly as having low resolve. Resolve to me is the thing you don't have if you're an evil person. You don't have the strength of character or the moral strength to make the right choice. So because you have weak resolve, you default to the morally weaker option of being evil. Kind of how I see it. So low resolve makes sense roleplay wise. Okay, so moving forward. Now I get to do my skills. I'm excited. You get 20 points to put into this. First thing I'm doing is maxing out lore. Lore is the most important skill. What do the clouds and sun by the attributes mean? Those are the ones it's recommending. to me. And just because it recommends Might and Resolve, I don't care about its recommendations. Its recommendations mean nothing to me. It's wrong. It doesn't know what kind of character I want to be. Lore's going all the way. Lore's skill determines a character's ability to decipher information and put together clues from fragments of information. This skill is critical for magic users who wish to learn new rules to power their spells. Lore is also used in dialogue to determine what you know about the history of the world or to impress others with your intelligence. I don't know, I guess willful in a sense, but I think they're ambitious or they're driven. But ambitious and driven don't necessarily mean the same thing as having resolve, in my opinion. They want something really badly, so they're willing to do, you know, extreme things to get it. But I don't see that as exactly being the same thing as resolve. It could be. I mean, it's more semantics than anything else. You can define these words a lot of different ways, so... But in my mind, I hear resolve, and I think of moral strength. I think of resolve to do things that don't benefit you because they're the right thing to do, simply because you have resolve. Whereas anybody can do things that benefit them. That doesn't require any particular resolve. Okay, so I got 3 to Diplomat. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to see. What is Diplomat adding to? Diplomat is adding to Lore, perfect! This is exactly what I wanted. Because Lore and Subterfuge are the 2 skills that I want to max out. So Diplomat adds to both of them, which is exactly what I wanted. So that I'm definitely sticking with the Diplomat build. So anyway, Lore is really important for spellcasting. Really, really important. And then Subterfuge is the other one that I want to max out. That's the one, well, it determines a character's ability to move unseen through their environment, to detect and manipulate hidden traps and devices, and to open locked chests and doors. It is also used in dialogue to determine your ability to deceive or trick the person you're speaking with. So, these 2 will allow me to get lots and lots of dialogue options. Also, find all the hidden stuff, use all the powerful spells, and open all the chests and stuff. And that's what I wanted. So those 2 are maxed out. The other one that's important for dialogues is athletics, but I'm not going to raise athletics because I'm going with the role-playing thing here of having terrible athletics. And my next playthrough, I'll make a character that's heavy into athletics. So I'm just going to end up skipping over all of the athletics options. And I'm going to take all the Lore and Subterfuge ones. After that, I could put some stuff into Magic Staff or one of these control spells. These determine a character's ability to draw and control spells that use the Sigil of Vigor or Atrophy. Higher skill values increase the chance of critical hits, which extend the duration of Vigor's bonuses to allies. And it's the same thing here, but with the Atrophy things. So those are reasonably important. But I feel like I don't need to raise those right away. They'll go up over time anyway as I use them. And I don't care as much about extending the durations or any of that, because the durations are already pretty good. Yeah, that's one way of looking at resolve. I agree that that could be a possible way of defining it. So I'm going to go dodge, because that's an important skill. Because that's what enemies are rolling against when they attack you with ranged weapons. And since I intend her to stay in the back mostly, she'll probably mostly be getting attacked by ranged, hopefully. So I think I'm going to put the rest of my points into dodge, which is already pretty good. Dodge skill defends against ranged attacks from bows, javelins, or magic spells. Higher skill ranks will reduce damage taken or even cause enemies to miss their attack altogether. So we're going to bring that up to 44. And call it good. Pretty dodgy. Got Lore and Subterfuge maxed. Feeling good. obviously we are not doing quick start, cut the games. Conquest is one of the coolest things in this game. I love the Conquest system. It is so awesome. Selecting the Conquest option will allow you to play through Kairos' Conquest of the Tiers, choosing how your character was involved in the invasion. This gives you the most control of the starting state of the game and how other factions will react to your character. So we're going to do Conquest. It's fucking awesome. Basically, the Conquest mode, you're not only continuing to develop your character as you're kind of developing your backstory, but you're also developing the world state, like it says here. All this stuff in the game is going to be different depending on how you make these choices during Conquest. And it's huge.
All the world has fallen to Kairos, and now the Overlord's eye is on the Tiers, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kairos' reign. 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kairos a century prior.
It's the last part of the world that I love the art style in this too. I love the art style of these slides and all the illustrations throughout the Conquest mode. It is super cool, really iconic looking.
In the early days of 428, Kairos' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tiersmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tiers sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
I feel like this is a big theme in this game, on both the good, quote-unquote, good and evil sides, is there's a whole lot of this people not wanting to cooperate and thus getting fucked because they can't work together. Well, I know they showed screenshots earlier before the game came out of certain areas in the game where like the area looked completely different. Not just differences in dialogues, but like the actual map of the area, the actual layout of the place was different because certain stuff was destroyed or not destroyed. One place had like a huge chasm and everything was all wrecked, and the other was like a town that was all whole. I mean, that's a big difference. Stuff like that. So I think it has some good effects, as well as, of course, how the factions feel about you and how people will react to you throughout the game, and like who's alive and dead. I've seen some stuff already in quests where like certain characters are not even, they don't even exist if you made certain choices in the Conquest, and if you didn't make those choices, then they are alive. Stuff like that. So they said that it's supposed to increase replayability a lot. They're focused more on that than actual length of the game. Yeah, evil would have been long ago if it only could work together. Yeah, exactly. Demons versus devils thing. I love this map too. It's a beautiful map. The actual world map that you can see in the game itself, we'll get to it, is so awesome looking. It's the coolest world map I've seen in a game. During the Conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kairos' invasion of the Tiers, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the Tiers respond to you. Your decisions matter. Choose wisely. 428 TR, Year 1 of Kairos' Conquest. This whole part is so cool. Sliding in the markers that look like they're made of metal. Alright, we start out at the Bastard City. This poor city doesn't know who its father is. Noxmoo, the Quick Start, when you pick Quick Start, it gives you 3 different options to choose from. That are, like, each one represents a certain selection. Because when you do the Conquest mode, you make 9 choices. That's how many total choices you make in the Conquest. Out of, like, 80... somewhere between 84 and 86 choices as from the math that I've done. I don't know for certain because I haven't seen every single branch, so I don't know how many of them end with 3 choices instead of 2. But it's somewhere in the mid-80s number of choices. and you only get to make 9 of them each time, which means you'd have to play the game 10 times through if you wanted to choose every single thing once. Which obviously nobody's going to do that, but I mean, that's my point, is you can literally make completely different choices every time you play it, unless you've played it 11 times. The Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kairos' empire and the Tears. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tears, it was the center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kairos' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kairos' armies. Taking this city would send a message to the rest of the Tears. Kairos' will is insurmountable. So this is like the main city here. I think Kairos is just going to say the same thing as always. But let's see what it says about Bastard City. Bastard City, ruled by Jon Snow. Named for its position between 2 realms, the Northern Empire and the Southern Tears, the Bastard City and its surrounding lands, known as the Bastard Tier, is a melting pot of cultures and a place of commerce and intrigue. The Tearsmen of the South view the Bastard City as a place of wealth and excess, but to the people of the Northern Empire, the Bastard City is little more than a sprawling slum. See, I'm getting this whole Nilfgaardian feel about the Northern Empire. They're like Nilfgaard from the Witcher games, or I get them. They kind of seem like a cross to me between like the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. They sort of seem like they're somewhere in between those two. Or like a combination of both. Tunon the Adjudicator established his court in the Bastard City. From this foothold in the Tears, he and his court of Fatebinders imposed Kairos' laws upon the conquered land. And of course, this game takes place in the Bronze Age. Actually, the late Bronze Age. I mean, it's not on Earth, but something equivalent to the late Bronze Age / very beginning of the Iron Age. Like, iron technology is just starting to be developed, and only one group of people in the world have iron. Everybody else is still using bronze. So there's no technology in this game. There's no crossbows or guns or machines, you know, which is cool. That's so rare. I hardly ever see games set in like a Bronze Age type setting, and I actually really like that and enjoy that thematically more than the typical medieval or Renaissance type setting. Alright, so this is where Tunon has his court. Anyway, let's do our thing here. Alright, so now we have to select one of these two. We can only do one or the other, and whichever one we do will give us 2 completely different options after we do it for the next section of this. Which is pretty awesome. So the 2 choices here are Gates of Judgment. In the first major engagement of the war, Kairos' armies cross the mountains and establish a foothold. And if I click on, I love these art. I love these cards. There's a different one for every single one of these, and they're so cool looking. I just like this art style so much. The armies of Kairos took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the Conquest of the Tears. The 2 armies brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. Yeah, Titan Quest, exactly. They do kind of look like tarot cards. Alright, so this is a direct assault on the gates. I can go alongside the Disfavored, standing shield to shield with Kairos' ironclad elite, who advanced on the mercenary army purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the Tears that superior breeding and disciplined training would win the day. So the Disfavored to me seem basically like the Roman legions. They're highly disciplined, they're well armed and well armored and well trained. They're elite professional soldiers. Whereas the Scarlet Chorus are the rabble, they're the mob, they're like bandits, they're like barbarians, they're like wild, chaotic people that have been, most of them have just been conscripted into fighting, forced to either join the army or die, and they're not trained soldiers, and they're not professionals, and most of them didn't even choose to do this. Whereas the Disfavored are all like people that chose to join the Disfavored and be elite soldiers. So there's a big difference, and of course the easy distinction is law versus chaos, right? Disfavored are lawful evil, Scarlet Chorus are chaotic evil. That's the basic distinction. I like the Scarlet Chaos a lot better, personally, but that's just me. So you rushed with the chaotic mass of the Scarlet Chorus, flanked by the Bastard City's army, and drove them to flee. So I could do the assault on the gates and choose which side to go with, or red was the color of the Roman Legion, purple the color of the Emperor and his guard. Really? Okay, that's interesting. Scumsave, good to see you. How you doing, Scumsave? If there's no tech in this world, what is the nature of magic in this world? Because the game doesn't imply that it's based in divine favor or something like that. It's just generalized mysticism. I don't know. It's very mysterious so far. It's based on these glyphs or runes that you get, but then there's also the magic of the Archons. They have their own special magic. They can all do their own special magical shit, and so far I have no idea how or why they do it. And then there's the magic of Kairos, which is way more powerful than anyone else, but so far there's no explanation of why or how Kairos can do that magic. So in other words, at this point, magic is pretty much a big mystery. Anyway, so I can do the Gates of Judgment, or I can do Infiltrate the Tears. It's pretty cool. I really appreciate these illustrations a lot. They gave the game a visual identity, a visual signature. These illustrations, the setting, the Bronze Age setting, the stylized art, everything. I think it gives the game a visual and thematic signature, which is very distinct from the sort of mass of samey, generic fantasy RPGs that are out there that all sort of seem to have the same kind of imagery, the same kind of aesthetics, the same kind of setting. I like how different this game is in that regard. Mary Cyrus is an Archon of twerking, and twerking is the ultimate magic power. Yeah, there you go. The Archon of twerking. Alright, so anyway, we could infiltrate the Tears. History would remember the Gates of Judgment as the first battle of the Conquest, but the real combat unfolded with advanced units of both armies preparing for the coming war. The Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus each had a plan to infiltrate the capital city. Which army did you join? Disfavored. Disciplined and battle-hardened, the Disfavored are an elite legion in Kairos' army. They spearheaded the conquest of the Younger Realms, finding themselves always outnumbered but never outclassed. Led by the steadfast and dutiful Graven Ash, whom they follow with obsessive devotion, they are committed to imposing their interpretation of order upon the relative lawlessness of the Tears. The Legion only tolerates Northerners in their ranks, priding themselves on their high standards and cultural purity. See, that's where I'm kind of getting the Nilfgaardian feeling from them. They're not just elite, well-trained and disciplined, they're also fucking racist and xenophobic. Or there's the Scarlet Chorus. Little more than a gang of thugs and their captive slaves. See, I like gangs of thugs. Those are my people. Rather than organized under commissioned officers, the Chorus follow a hierarchy, seemingly ruled by whoever has the bravado to command and defend their position. At the head of this chaotic pecking order, the Archon of Secrets, better known as the Voices of Nerat, treats the Scarlet Chorus as his personal army. The Voices of Nerat is also really fucking cool. Way cooler than Graven Ash. The Scarlet Chorus often suffers tremendous losses after battle, only to swell in the aftermath when captured enemies and collateral prisoners are given the cruel opportunity to join or die. Yeah, that'd be pretty rough. Anyway, so I can infiltrate the Tears. I can either lend my skills to the elite Disfavored scouts to capture a border garrison. Graven Ash insisted that an early victory in the offensive would boost the morale of his troops and diminish the haughty overconfidence of the Southerners. Or I can join the Scarlet Chorus as they raided villages and small towns, conscripting every able-bodied man and woman into the army. The Voices of Nerat emphasized the rewards of conscription and enslavement over wanton bloodshed. Apparently his soldiers needed the reminder. Voices of Nerat? Known in his official capacity as the Archon of Secrets, the Voices of Nerat is equal parts genius and madman. I like that. Rumors abound that he can steal the minds of others, though few, if any, are alive to confirm as much. The subjects of his interrogation are never heard from again, and the Archon is able to recall the memories of his victims with startling accuracy. He is the inconsistent leader of the Scarlet Chorus, vacillating between commanding from the vanguard and directing his armies in absentia. Despite his strange methods, no one doubts that the Voices of Nerat is an accomplished strategist, even suggesting that his madness stems from thinking hundreds, perhaps thousands of steps ahead of his enemies. Thousands of steps is a lot. Like, that's a lot of steps. I can only think about maybe 5 or 6 steps ahead of something. Thousands is a lot. Okay. So anyway, those are my choices. Conscript enemy fighters for the chorus. Aid the disfavored scouts. Join battle alongside the disfavored or join battle. So I have those 4 choices. And whichever one of those I make will give me 2 more completely different things like this to choose. And then we'll go on from there. And then there's, like I said, there's 9 total choices that you make. This is the first one. Oh wait, there's one more thing. I didn't read about Graven Ash. The last of the great northern generals to stand against the Overlord in ages past, Archon Graven Ash now serves Kairos as supreme commander of the disfavored legion, and is charged with conquering the Tears. Graven Ash shares a powerful bond with the soldiers under his command, and regards each of them as family. The death of a soldier at enemy hands represents a grievous loss to the old general, who bears the burden of his love with mournful stoicism. See, so he doesn't really sound 100% evil. He sounds like he might have actually been a decent guy back before he was crushed by Kairos and forced to serve the Overlord. Of course, now I think he's probably become heartless and evil as a matter of necessity, but he might have actually been an okay guy at one point. Or he might still be an okay guy, even if he's doing evil shit. He's a lot more boring than the Voices of Nerat, though, for sure. So anyway, what will I decide? Who knows? We will have to find out in our next episode. If you're watching the stream, I'm not done playing, of course. I'm doing 24-hour streams, so I'll be playing for 23 more hours. But just ending this episode of YouTube. That's going to do it for this time. Come back next time and see what I choose as I complete the rest of the Conquest mode. Thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Tyranny.